news and a bunch of other exciting news. So, yeah, let me know what teams you got or who you thought won or lost free agency. A lot of things to catch up on. Looks like the Buffalo Bills are doing pretty well as they re-sign the MVP of the league in Josh Allen. Probably going to save them a lot of money and a lot of guaranteed money, but hopefully he can get over that hump and start getting to the Super Bowl for the Bills. Boy, I love losing Super Bowls. That is what the Bills stands for, but hopefully they can get past the Chiefs and make things interesting. As far as some teams that are not doing so great, in my opinion, are really the ones that are waiting for extensions on star players. The Cowboys, to be mentioned, are definitely top of mind because they just keep waiting to pay these guys. Micah Parsons is next up for the Cowboys, it seems like, and the fact that Myles Garrett and Max Crosby just got huge extensions is not great for the Cowboys. It's definitely going to cost Jerry Jones a lot of money. And Jerry likes to wait. He waited for CeeDee Lamb. He waited for Dak. So I don't know what the Cowboys are doing. They re-signed their long snapper and they got a running back today, Javon Will or the guy from the Broncos. But I don't think that's that great of a signing. The Cowboys still have a lot of holes and a lot of needs. So yeah, I don't know. Moving on from the Cowboys, though, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had a good day today. They were able to bring back Levante David on a one-year deal and also re-sign Chris Godwin. So it gives Baker a lot of targets to continue to throw to. And Baker's really sort of picked up the pieces since the loss of Tom Brady in Tampa Bay. So hopefully they can continue to progress. But they lost their offensive coordinator, so keeping some of the personnel should definitely be a little bit of a win for Baker Mayfield and the Bucks. A big loser on the day, in my opinion, is the Seattle Seahawks. I just don't know what they're doing. They traded away Geno Smith for a third-round pick, which was pretty good value, and if they wanted to move on and get younger, I totally understand that. But getting younger by signing Sam Darnold, who's, 28 and has one good season in his career, I'm just not impressed, if I'm being honest. I like Sam Darnold. I think he's a 15 to 20 quarterback, which is a starter in the league, but I don't know. I don't think he's going to get you in the playoffs if you're Seattle. And they have like a pretty good defense. They're getting rid of all their offensive weapons, though. They traded away DK Metcalf. They cut Tyler Lockett. JSN's pretty much the only guy left. So I don't know. If I was a Seattle Seahawks fan, I'd be pretty freaking pissed and asking the front office some questions. But that's just me. I digress. We can move on from the Seattle Seahawks to another team. And winners of the day are DBs. A lot of cornerbacks actually have gotten paid. Even Darius Slay signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers, which was pretty nice. But J.C. Horn becomes the highest paid cornerback in the league with a 4-year, $100 million extension with the Panthers. Definitely locked down on one side of the field and has been one of the best cornerbacks since being drafted about 3-4 years ago. And safeties are also getting paid, and other cornerbacks. DJ Reed got paid $48 million. Detroit with the Lions. Nate Hobbs got paid 4 years, $48 million with the Packers. So corners are definitely shutting down. Guys gotta stop all these impressive wide receivers. So we'll see how that progresses and if those investments pay off. But some losers today, I'd say, is the offensive line market, I guess. It doesn't really seem like that many linemen have gotten paid. Usually there's like one or two in the first few days, and then they kind of trickle on later. But, usually these premier guys are getting paid a lot early, and it just hasn't really happened. So moving on from that, the Browns signed Myles Garrett to a 4-year extension with $123 million guaranteed. Becomes the highest paid non-quarterback in the league, and pretty impressive for a defensive player of the year a couple times. Eagles were interested in trading for him, but the Browns said no, he's not going anywhere. Take $40 million and we'll get you a Super Bowl, a quarterback that played in the Super Bowl. So the Browns trade for Kenny Pickett today. They trade away DTR, who I actually like a lot, the former UCLA quarterback with Chip Kelly, and now the Browns. Didn't really show so much with the Browns, but big fan of DTR, and he's going to be the third string with the Eagles, so I'm not too worried. He definitely has some time and room to develop. Tanner McKee has definitely been a impressive backup for the Birds the past few years. He is the quarterback out of Stanford, real big body, but not mobile like Jalen, so DTR definitely can probably run some of those things, especially even in the scout team during the week. Bengals Trey Hendrickson is apparently wanting a trade or just not going to get paid by the Bengals, so they're going to try to capitalize and get as much value as they can from him. Yeah, definitely show some questions in the comments in the comments in the chat. Definitely curious to see what you guys have to say. I'm hoping for OBJ to be innocent. He issued a statement on Twitter today saying that he wasn't even in that city and he's never been there, so we'll see. Eagles, I'm not too worried about. Honestly, they lost two guys on their D-line in Milton Williams and Josh Sweat. Josh Sweat signed with the Arizona Cardinals, and Milton Williams, I think, is with the Patriots. Great signings for both those teams, especially the Patriots, because they had a lot of money to spend and need to improve that team pretty drastically. But the Eagles already have reinforcements, if you ask me. With D-tackle, they're pretty deep with Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. And even Moro Ojomo or whatever, the guy from Texas a couple years ago. Ojomo is just such a cool name. And then, pass rushers, I think that they're going to add a guy, but Jalix Hunt was looking really good later on in the season. Nolan Smith really had a good season as the year went on. I definitely imagine that they'll add another pass rusher and even shop around Bryce Huff, who was non-existent for the Eagles this year. I mean, I guess he was hurt for like half the season, but anyway. And cornerback, Isaiah Rodgers signed with the Vikings, I want to say. Definitely going to get a bigger opportunity wherever he signed. But I was really hoping that the Eagles were going to be able to retain him. But thank you for your service. You won a Super Bowl. You got the tattoo. You even got the mannequin. So in my mind, even though you're only here for a year or two, you'll always be an Eagle. Aaron Jones re-signs a 2-year deal with the Vikings. And I'm actually pretty happy with this. Honestly, Aaron Jones adds some stability to that offense. He played in every game this season, had a great year. And they'll probably add a younger guy, but not so bad. Ernest Jones, linebacker, signs a 3-year deal with the Seahawks. Again, I just don't really know what the Seahawks are doing. Wide receiver Devontae Adams signs a 2-year deal with the Rams. They are most likely going to shop away Cup. I definitely have a Dolphins logo. I just have a bunch of laundry on my chair, so bear with me. I'm sorry. Got to do some more laundry tomorrow. I did some today, so I digress. Back to football. Devontae Adams signs a 2-year deal with the Rams. They're probably going to move on from Cup. The Rams also re-sign Jimmy G, so they have their quarterback, they have their backup quarterback, and they're still trying to contend and compete. And they were a couple games away from the Super Bowl. The Eagles let them kind of come back a little bit too much, if you ask me, in the divisional playoff game. But Jalen Carter sealed the thing, which was really nice, and now they are going to compete again. The Bills sign Josh Allen to a 6-year, $330 million extension, which sounds like a shit ton of money if you ask me. But if you really look at it, they're probably going to save money on this deal because quarterbacks just keep getting paid more and more. And Josh Allen has proven that he's an MVP. He can get you to an AFC championship. Hopefully he can get you to a Super Bowl in the future. We have yet to see that happen yet. But we'll see. Are you still using Mary Vitamin? I don't know who Mary Vitamin is, so no, I'm not using Mary Vitamin. But take your vitamins, yeah. But I got the Dolphins logo. Steelers in 5. You sound like what's his name? Unk. And the Seahawks trade away DK Metcalf in exchange for a second-round pick. I think it's the 53rd or 54th pick, so it's an early second-round pick, which is nice for the Seahawks. But you know, DK Metcalf is still one of the most dominant and just one of the premier wide receivers in the league. So he will have a fun time with opposite George Pickens in Pittsburgh. We still don't know who their quarterback is going to be yet, although if I had to guess, I would say it's most likely going to be Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers. I think Russell Wilson has the nod just because he is currently there already, and he's thrown to both these wide receivers already as well. But I'm also hearing a lot of rumors for Aaron Rodgers to potentially go to the Vikings, which is probably the best destination left for him. He can definitely mentor JJ McCarthy, get them pretty competitive, and then also follow in Brett Favre's footsteps, going from Green Bay to the Jets and now Minnesota. So if you ask me, if he goes to Minnesota, they'll make the playoffs for 1 year and then he'll vanish into obscurity. Lions signed cornerback Carlton Davis. So that is nice that they retain a good guy. Ben Roethlisberger jokes that he's going to come out of retirement following the DK Metcalf trade. The probably most prolific quarterback in Pittsburgh history. Sorry, Terry Bradshaw, I didn't see you play, and you're annoying on TV, so I'm not going to give you that nod. But Big Ben wore his helmet and said on social media, like, "Hey, I got a couple snaps in me. I can throw the ball a little bit, toss the rock." But like I said, it's probably going to go to Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers. Or maybe they trade up or draft a guy. I think they have the 22nd pick. So, if they like Jackson Dart or Jalen Milroe, maybe they can stand tight. But if they want Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, they're definitely going to have to trade up into the top 10, if you ask me. And speaking of Shedeur Sanders, some people are saying that he is not a first-round pick or not even a top 10 pick. And I think that's just complete blasphemy. I have a TikTok on it. But Shedeur Sanders is, in my opinion, by far the best quarterback in this draft. I don't like Cam Ward's footwork. I love his release time, but both quarterbacks are extremely accurate. Shedeur had like no time to throw the ball, so I think in an NFL offense with real offensive linemen and real NFL talent, although he had a nice wide receiver crew in Colorado, so I can't hate on that too much. Khalil Mack signs a 1-year deal with the Los Angeles Chargers. There was rumors that the Eagles were a little bit interested in him, and even the Bears were interested in potentially bringing him back. But Khalil Mack stays with the Chargers, was very good on that defense for the past few years, and will continue to lead Harbaugh's defense. Buccaneers re-sign Chris Godwin and also add Hassan Reddick. Some nice additions for Baker Mayfield and the Bucs. Rams re-sign Jimmy G to back up Matt Stafford. Jimmy G, I think, just loves being a backup quarterback in a big city. He's just a good-looking guy and can collect paychecks. So he might have the best job in football, if you ask me. And I think he used to sleep with porn stars or models or something. I don't know. Patriots agree to deal with Carlton Davis, cornerback, $60 million deal, 6 years with the Bucs. He is now going to the Patriots. So congratulations to him and the Patriots defense and Vrabel. Rebuilding and trying to be a playoff team going forward. Milton Williams of the Philadelphia Eagles, Super Bowl champion Milton Williams, signs a 4-year deal with the Patriots and becomes the highest paid Patriot of all time. That's right, his contract was bigger than Tom Brady's. I saw that and that kind of just blew my mind. So how do you rate the Bears free agency? They lost DJ Moore. And give me 1 second. Let me see literally all of the Bears moves if I can. Drew Dahlman is fine, bust up the O line a little bit. Deo Adigabo, also a decent signing as an edge rusher. But that's pretty much all they've done so far. Grady Jarrett also D tackle, so they're beefing up that D line, which is really nice. Milton was a little bit overpaid, but he was the best D tackle on the market, so it's really just a buyer's market, and the Patriots had a lot of money to spend, so I agree. He definitely did get a little overpaid, and I knew that the Eagles just weren't going to be able to afford him, so I was prepared to lose him in Sweat. I appreciate both of them and their service helping the Eagles win a Super Bowl. I'm feeling all right about the Eagles. I think that they have a lot of their replacements already on the roster. They were just younger rookies. Keely Ringo's a good corner that can step into a bigger role. Nolan Smith's a good pass rusher that can step into a bigger role. Jalix Hunt had a decent year at the end of the year. He was a rookie. I did mean Allen. Sorry about that. Sam Darnold signs with the Seahawks. I just don't understand that. I'm literally scratching my head. I think Sam Darnold is a worse quarterback than Geno Smith. I get maybe you want to get younger, but you're paying Darnold more. And I don't know. I don't know why the Seahawks just wanted to blow everything up, but I love the trade of Geno to the Raiders. I think just giving up a third-round pick, getting a quarterback that has worked with your coach, a little more stability at that position since last year they had Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew starting. So Geno Smith is a huge upgrade to those two. So I'm really excited. They also shore up and get Max Crosby on a long-term deal. There's a rumor that the Seahawks were actually interested in trading Geno Smith and DK Metcalf for Crosby, and the Raiders just shut that down immediately and said, we ain't having that. We're going to give this guy a huge deal so he's not leaving our building. And his story, Max Crosby's, is pretty great. I think he was like a 2-star recruit. And now he was the highest paid defensive player in the league until Myles Garrett signed a monster deal like 2 hours later. But yeah, Josh Sweat is now a Arizona Cardinal and reunites with the former Eagles defensive coordinator. These are pretty much some of the biggest. Tre'Davious Ward from the 49ers signs with the Colts. I missed that one. Byron Murphy is now a Viking and stays a Viking. Dre Greenlaw from the 49ers is now a Denver Bronco. So it looks like the San Francisco 49ers are really just preparing to pay Brock Purdy, because I don't think they can retain most of these guys, and it's really sad. It's not really sad. I'm an Eagles fan, and I don't want to have to deal with the 49ers being somewhat of a juggernaut anymore, because they were really good for a couple years, especially when they had just traded for Christian McCaffrey. It was sort of that cherry on top, similar to the Eagles getting Saquon Barkley this offseason. But I am not so high on the San Francisco 49ers going forward. I love the trade of Justin Fields to the Jets. I think that was a great move for the Jets. The Jets have not really had great stability with a young quarterback with upside. And, Justin Fields is definitely somewhat unproven, but, I'm definitely a fan of what he can do with his legs. And, he didn't have a great organization around him when he was with the Bears, and also didn't have a great organization with him this past year had a decent organization with Pittsburgh, but didn't really get the full opportunity. I think he went 4-0, and then Russell Wilson got healthy and started the rest of the way. Justin Fields, I think, should bring some excitement to the New York Jets. Pairs up with Garrett Wilson really well. They were college teammates. And I really loved Justin Fields coming out of Ohio State a couple years ago. Really spun the ball well. And granted, he had one of the best wide receiver rooms in college football ever, throwing to JSN, Marvin Harrison Jr., Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson. Just a ridiculous tandem quad of wide receivers. But great signing for the Jets. The Steelers get DK Metcalf. I did touch on that, but I'm really excited to see how him and George Pickens play opposite each other. They're very similar wide receivers as their big body, love contested catches. I'd say that DK Metcalf might be actually a little faster, or at least game speed, but excited to see what they do and who throws them the ball. I'd argue that it's most likely going to be Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers has entered the conversation in Pittsburgh, and actually would probably pair up well with Pittsburgh because he could kind of just be the quarterback throwing the rock and not have to worry about the New York media and his weekly podcast with Pat McAfee. Although if he went to Pittsburgh, he probably would still continue the Pat McAfee show since Pat McAfee grew up in that area. He's a Yinzer. I went to West Virginia, which is 45 minutes away from Pittsburgh. So, that weekly, we'll call it meeting, will probably continue. Some interesting free agents that are still out there. Amari Cooper, very curious to see where he lands. The Packers could definitely use a wide receiver, and the Chargers as well. So those are at least two destinations I'd consider if I were him. And maybe even the Seahawks, because they seem desperate for a wide receiver now that they cut Lockett and traded away DK Metcalf. I would love if the Eagles went after Asante Samuel. His dad was on the Eagles. And Bill Belichick said that he was one of the best cornerbacks he's ever seen play. He also played for the Patriots. But Asante Samuel Jr. was with the Chargers for a number of years and had a decent career. But the Eagles could definitely use a little more depth at CB, even though they have two young studs in Cooper DeJean and let's see, Khalil Mack stays with the Chargers. Stephon Diggs is still a free agent, so curious to see where he lands. There are some rumors that he might go to the Chiefs, and they've re-signed Hollywood Brown. And the whole Xavier Worthy situation is kind of interesting because a couple days ago he got arrested, and they said that it was for like domestic abuse, but I guess it's been 2 days later or so, and the story's developed, and apparently his wife/girlfriend was like destroying the house, beating him up, and then he got arrested. So I don't really know what to make out of it. Obviously, you shouldn't hit anyone or a woman, especially your spouse, your girlfriend. And I'm not trying to say it's justified, but I'm just saying there's two sides to the story, and if he's getting beat up and house vandalized, maybe there's something going on there. But I digress. We'll move on to happier topics. Javon Hargrave is still a free agent. Was with the 49ers, so one of the better D tackles out there. We'll see where he lands. It's still pretty early in free agency, still just day one. Legal tampering period started at 12, even though obviously some moves sort of happened before then. Jonathan Allen from the Commanders is a free agent. They cut him. I was a little bit surprised. I like Jonathan Allen. He was really good out of Alabama and has really done a good job on that D-line for the Washington Commanders, but ultimately they cut him and I guess are just trying to get younger and save some more money to build the team. Chase Young, I think, re-signed with the New Orleans Saints, although the website I'm looking at right now doesn't have it updated, but I'll double check on that. Darius Slayton, this was interesting. The New York Giants re-signed Darius Slayton for pretty much the same money that they could have given Saquon Barkley last year. That's right. Darius Slayton got like $16 million a year, and that's how much Saquon Barkley got paid last year. So I don't know what the New York Giants are doing. They had literally a blue chip player, one of the best running backs in the league, and they got rid of him for peanuts. They franchise tagged him, and then they just said, you know what, we're going to let you go, or we're going to let you test the market. And it bit the Giants in the ass because Saquon is now a Super Bowl champion and is running behind one of the best offensive lines in football. And the Giants have Tyrone Tracy and no quarterback. So I don't know. I mean, I like Malik Neighbors, and we'll see who they pick in the draft because they have a premier pick. But it's got to be tough to be a Giants fan, especially if they're going to add Cam Ward or something. But let me know what you think. I'm seeing some of these in the comments. Josh Sweat, I like the signing to the Cardinals. The Cardinals definitely needed some pass rushing help on their defensive side. He reunites with a former Eagles coach, so I think that should also be a benefactor for him. But I think the Cardinals could still use, another outside wide receiver and an O lineman. But I digress. Russell Douglas is still a free agent, former Eagle and Packer, and last time was on the Bills, so we'll see where he goes. Azeez Ojulari is also a free agent from the New York Giants, edge rusher, could fill that need that I was just saying. Tyler Lockett's a nice veteran wide receiver on the market, still available. Najee Harris just signed with the Chargers, I want to say. Is this updated? Because I'm seeing some of this stuff. Anyway, I know that happened. And I'm really excited to see that. So, they got a good O-line and they're just continue to build. Did the Broncos sign Evan Ingram? Let me double check. Evan Ingram. Because I know he did sign somewhere. Broncos visit with Evan Ingram 13 hours ago. And it looks like they're about to make a deal and expected to, but the Colts signed him to a 2-year deal. I knew that happened. All right, sorry about that. I digressed. But the Broncos, I think, got a different tight end, I'm pretty sure. Let's see. Broncos, DJ Jones, Dre Greenlaw, Tala Haffunga, Jared Stidham. Mike Gesicki re-signs with the Cincinnati Bengals. Sorry, I got a little lost there. I was looking for information and didn't really find it. Still a lot of wide receivers available though. Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, Mike Williams, Robert Woods, Juju Smith-Schuster, Nelson Aguilar. So, some decent names out there if you need a wide receiver. Quarterback market is getting pretty slim, although it was never really that great if Sam Darnold was the best guy there. Right now, the best two guys are Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson, who are most likely one of them is going to stay in Pittsburgh or go to Pittsburgh, and I assume the other one would probably go to Minnesota. Daniel Jones is also rumored to potentially go to Minnesota and has actually had a decent little market. Mac Jones is also a free agent. I would expect him to re-sign with Jacksonville. He's from that area, and he did decent, I guess, in a couple starts last year. But Gardner Minshew, Jameis Winston, and Zach Wilson signed with the Dolphins, so congratulations to him. As far as running backs, I said Najee Harris signs with the Chargers on a 1-year deal. I guess he's just going to try to kind of bank on himself, prove it deal, bet on himself behind a pretty good O-line and see where things go. Where did all those stickers? Fathead, I ordered it from Fanatics. I've got links in the description or on my beacons, but Fanatics is the premier destination for all sports merchandise, if you ask me. Big fan of Michael Rubin and the company that he's built. Get your team swag like this championship hat or your cancer awareness hoodies. Although this one's 8 years old or something. They don't do the pink ones anymore. They do every color now for all the different various forms of cancer. So if you are worried, maybe get checked. I already talked about wide receivers, tight end market. Evan Ingram, I said, went to the Colts. Zach Ertz re-signed with the Commanders. Mike Gesicki re-signs with the Bengals. That's pretty much the exciting tight end news. There's not really much else as far as tight ends. No one really cares that much about these O-linemen, and they haven't really gotten paid that much, which is a little bit surprising. Stay tuned for the Eagles potentially to re-sign Mekhi Becton, who is actually looking like one of the best guards on the market. Although I've heard that might take some time to go. But the Eagles will probably match, or he at least said that he would prefer to stay with the Eagles since Jeff Stoutland helped revitalize his career in Philadelphia and win a Super Bowl. RVA to PHL, the 804 to 215, baby. As far as edge rushers, this was actually a pretty exciting market for the past day or two. Josh Sweat goes to the Cardinals. Hassan Reddick goes to the Bucks. Khalil Mack goes to the Chargers. Chase Young re-signs with the Saints on a 3-year deal, which is nice. Harold Landry goes with the Patriots. Those are pretty much the biggest names out there. But Von Miller, is still a good pass rusher and a free agent, was cut by the Bills. The Bills could definitely add a pass rusher to fill that void or draft one in the upcoming draft in a month or so. So stay tuned for that. I also like Dante Fowler. I see his name out here. DeMarcus Lawrence, not so bad. Matthew Judon. So there's definitely some discount. Kayvon Chason. So there are definitely some discount pass rushers that you can get after the big name money guys went on day one. D tackle, Jonathan Allen is definitely the best one available right now. Javon Hargrave was cut by the 49ers because they're trying to pay Purdy. So, but as far as some guys that re-signed or signed with other teams, Osa Odigizua, I love that name, re-signed with the Cowboys. This was actually a good move by the Cowboys. They got ahead of this, which is surprising because the Cowboys love to wait the last minute to pay their players in general. Example A, Exhibit A, Micah Parsons. Exhibit B, Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb last year. They just like to get the headline of paying the most money for the position. But Jerry Jones is just not in the same league as Howie Roseman, if you ask me, who has the complete opposite approach of signing players as early as possible. Exhibit A, Jalen Hurts, Devontae Adams, A.J. Brown. I could go on and on. And even giving Saquon Barkley a massive bonus, which he deserves this offseason, is just like saying, you're going to retire an Eagle. You're never leaving. We won a Super Bowl with you. We love you. You're great for the community. You're great for the team. Saquon Barkley, if it was socially acceptable, I would maybe name my son after you. I do not think the Saints are going to sign Becton tomorrow. I think Becton is going to take his time on the free agent market. And I think he wants to return with the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, if a team's gonna offer him stupid money or just significantly more than the Eagles can afford, he should take it. But he's been adamant saying that Jeff Stoutland really helped revitalize his career. So I'd like to think that he will stay with the Eagles and maybe take a slight home team discount. But the way the Eagles have structured a lot of these contracts, they should have at least some money to throw at some of these guys, especially since they missed out on Sweat, Milton Williams, and Isaiah Rodgers. But they were able to keep Zach Bond, and they were able to keep Saquon. So two of the more important guys, if you ask me. Zach Bond was incredible on defense for the Philadelphia Eagles this year and was a really a free agent last year that really outperformed his contract. I think he only got paid like $3 million last year, and now he's averaging like 5 times that. So congratulations to my guy, Zach Bond, leading the Philadelphia Eagles defense in the middle. Thoughts on Eldon Roberts? Yeah, it's fine. Not an exciting signing, if you ask me. I mean, it's fine. What do you think the Eagles do at safety spot? That's a good question. Slay said that Reed will probably take over as the leader of the defense. CJ Gardner-Johnson is definitely a vocal leader and playing really well. But the Eagles still have Sidney Brown on the team who's played well in spots, and Keely Ringo. But I would also expect the Eagles to probably add a safety/cornerback in the draft very early, as it seems like one of the bigger needs for the team. What are these questions here? What are the Eagles? I just asked that. Why are people saying the 49ers are cooked when they have a lot of draft picks? It's more just because they're not being able to retain a lot of their players for the 49ers, and that's mostly just because they're preparing to pay for Brock Purdy, who's about to get a monster deal. But that's part of the reason why they traded away Debo, and that's part of the reason why they're talking about potentially moving on from Ayuk. That's the reason why they lost Ward and Greenlaw. And Hargrave. So their defense is definitely going to look a lot different. You're right, they definitely have a lot of draft picks, which is great to help rebuild. But draft picks are still lottery picks. You don't know if they're going to be good or fit your system super well. So the Niners are really just preparing to pay Purdy, and I don't know if they have the backups on their team yet. Why did the Steelers trade Fields to the Jets? Probably because after a year in the building, they feel they have more confidence in Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers, who are the quarterbacks that are most likely going to start for the Steelers next year. One of those two guys. And maybe they even like some of the draft prospects. The Steelers have the 22nd pick in this year's draft. If they stay put, they could probably get Jackson Dart or Jalen Milroe. But if they trade up to the top 10, maybe they have a shot at Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. I'm not saying that they want to get that young at quarterback, but Jalen Milroe would be a great fit, I think, for the Steelers, and backing up a veteran. So we will see. Who are the backups? I don't know who you're asking who are the backups for. I'm sorry. For safeties. For the Eagles, the backup safeties are Sidney Brown, who has his twin brother on the Bengals. He's pretty good, a little undersized. Reed Blankenship's real good. Cooper DeJean is not a safety. He's just a corner who will lock down your number one. But he was playing nickel primarily this year, so he might have to show a little more versatility in the future. At Iowa, he played all over. I'm not saying he has the speed, but he is our version of Jackie Robinson. So Cooper DeJean is one of my favorite players. Was one of my favorite players before he was even an Eagle last year. I had like tweets and TikToks about him when he got drafted and even before. So I'm really glad that he landed here. And Quintanamo Bay was also an awesome pick. I was really amazed that Cooper DeJean fell to the second round last year. I thought he was a first round pick, but I guess white corners don't get the love that they soon to deserve, I guess, because there are like 2 or 3 in the league now. Fields was better than Russell. I agree. I think Fields was 4-0 as the starter in Pittsburgh. And it's actually a shame that Russell Wilson did really well with the Steelers. Don't get me wrong. But it didn't really seem like they needed to make the switch at the time. But we'll see. I'm excited for the Jets that they have a young and actually exciting quarterback, and they reunite him with his college wide receiver in Garrett Wilson. So stay tuned for the Jets, although I also wouldn't be surprised if they added another quarterback in the draft. So we will see. Najee getting traded was not fun to watch. I don't think Najee got traded. I think he was just a free agent and signed with the Chargers on a 1-year deal. It's kind of betting on himself. But yeah, it's going to be tough to see him not in a Pittsburgh Steelers jersey. Really loved Najee Harris coming out of Alabama. Seems just like a real genuine selfless dude. Pretty good pass blocker, pretty good pass catcher, and a great runner of the football. It didn't seem like he was fully utilized to his full strength with the Steelers, but now gets a great opportunity behind an amazing O-line in Los Angeles with the Chargers. So excited to see how Harbaugh schemes up that run game with a powerful runner like Najee. Eagles need some safeties and D linemen. Definitely could use some help at the secondary. D linemen, they could definitely use a veteran presence. But I'm still very high on Nolan Smith and Jalix Hunt. Jalix Hunt had a pretty good Super Bowl and showed a lot of potential throughout the season. He was the Eagles' third-round pick last year out of Mississippi, like A&M or something. It was a small school. And Nolan Smith, a lot of Eagles fans were thinking that he might have been a bust, but really proved a lot of guys wrong, given a bigger opportunity once Hassan Reddick left to the Jets, although didn't really play that much for the Jets. Hassan Reddick now signed a one-year deal with the Buccaneers today, but I digress because now I'm jumping from like team to team to team to team. Kirk to be traded for good players. Yeah, I mean, I think that the Atlanta Falcons should trade Kirk Cousins. The Indianapolis Colts seem like a great fit for him, as he could sort of mentor Anthony Richardson, even though they play totally different style games. But he could start 3-4 games and then be replaced. And I think Anthony Richardson is just always coming off an injury. So, talking about free agent linebackers, Zach Bond, as I said, signs a 3-year deal with the Philadelphia Eagles, was up for Defensive Player of the Year. Didn't get it, doesn't really have the household name and large appeal, but really had an amazing season betting on himself, and it worked out. Eagles thought he was just going to be a special teamer when they signed him, and ultimately wins the starting linebacker role. They cut Devin White, and dude never even played as an Eagle, basically. And the Eagles are also getting back Nakobe Dean, who got hurt and also had a very nice developmental year at middle linebacker, calling out his Georgia Bulldogs on defense. Eagles have a lot of Georgia Bulldogs on defense. They got Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Keely Ringo. They got the linebacker, Nakobe Dean, I just mentioned. So, I don't know. If you're an Eagles fan, maybe expect another Georgia player. I know that they have a really good pass rusher who should be going in the top 10 this year. But Nick Bolton signs with the Chiefs on a 3-year, $45 million deal. Bobby Wagner re-signs with the Commanders on a 1-year deal, getting a little older but still leading that defense. Dre Greenlaw signs with the Broncos on a 3-year, $35 million deal. Like we mentioned earlier, the 49ers just can't afford a lot of these guys because they're going to have to pay Brock Purdy. Levante David re-signs with the Bucks on a 1-year deal. Ernest Jones re-signs with the Seahawks on a 3-year deal. And that's pretty much it. Shaq Thompson is still a free agent. Eric Kendricks is getting a little older, but still a free agent and still effective. Isaiah Simmons I like as a hybrid linebacker safety. Camus Grazier-Hill was a former Eagle. I was never a huge fan of him with the Eagles, but he won a Super Bowl with us, I think, 7 years ago, so I can't hate too much. As far as the cornerback market, they got paid a lot of money today. Byron Murphy re-signs with the Vikings on a 3-year, $66 million deal. Carlton Davis signs with the Patriots. The Patriots had a lot of money to spend, and it was mostly on defense. So hopefully they improve next year. Tre'Davious, but they still don't have a wide receiver. Their biggest wide receiver signing was Mac Hollins. Whoop-de-doo. I like Mac Hollins, again, former Eagle and won a Super Bowl. Backpack Mac, baby. But actually had a really good season with the Buffalo Bills last year, so can't hate that much. But the Patriots have like 4 number 2 and 3 wide receivers and no alpha. There were rumors that they were interested in A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown's not going anywhere. He just won a Super Bowl with the Eagles and signed an extension like a year or 2 ago. So I don't know where they got that idea other than the connection with Vrabel. They were interested in DK Metcalf. That didn't happen. They might have had some interest in Devontae Adams. That didn't happen. They might be able to get Cooper Kupp now that I'm like thinking out loud. So stay tuned for that. But yeah. Other cornerbacks, Darius Slay signed with the Steelers. Asante Samuel Jr. is still a free agent, and I would love if the Eagles went after him. Do you have a third-string quarterback? If you're talking about the Eagles do. They just got a third-string quarterback, trading away Kenny Pickett for DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, former UCLA quarterback with Chip Kelly, and then I guess he was the third string with the Browns. So the Eagles have Jalen Hurts, Tanner McKee, the kid from Stanford that they drafted in the 6th round, I want to say like 2 years ago, and now DTR, who's a big mobile quarterback. So I'm excited. Slay didn't sign? I could have sworn he did. But if he didn't, then that's awesome, and maybe he is still available. But I could have sworn Slay signed with the Steelers earlier today. Steelers talk with him, staying in Pennsylvania, but not the Eagles. Yeah, I'm seeing that he signed with the Steelers, but let me know if I'm really wrong, Sean Carr. If you guys need a 4th-string quarterback, Manziel is the man. Dude, I love Johnny Football. I think he is very much out of football for the past few years, though. Last that I heard, he was trying to go pro in golf, and he's got a podcast. I heard him interview Tavon Austin a couple days ago, or a week or so ago. Love Tavon Austin, most exciting wide receiver and offensive player I've seen play in college football with my own eyes. I went to West Virginia for a number of years and saw Geno spin the rock to Stedman and Tavon. And like I said, Tavon was just, if you haven't seen his college mixtape, it is literally one of the best in college football. And Johnny Manziel had a pretty great college mixtape too, and a big part of that was because he's throwing to Mike Evans, who was a huge man against boys in college football, because he looked like he was just a foot taller than every corner in DB. But I digress from college football 10 years ago. I don't know if the Eagles are going to go for a fourth string quarterback, but if so, maybe draft Will Howard from Ohio State. He's probably going to be available on day 3. But yeah, what else are we missing on safety? Javon Holland is still a free agent. Cam Bynum signs a 4-year deal with the Colts. Talanoa Hufanga signs with the Broncos on a 3-year, $45 million deal. Justin Simmons is still a free agent. Love his hybrid role. Jeremy Chin signs with the Raiders on a 2-year, $16 million deals. He was one of the best safeties in the league, I thought, a couple years ago. So I'm actually surprised that he got such a cheap deal. But yeah, or maybe I'm exaggerating, but I thought Jeremy Chin was one of the best things that the Panthers had going for him for a couple of years. No, Tanner McKee's definitely going to be the second string, at least going into training camp. But yeah, I mean, the Ohio State guy is probably going to get drafted to a team and be a second or third string guy. I don't know if the Eagles are really going to draft another wide receiver. Sam Darnold to JSN, I do not love it. Personally, I'm not a fan of the Sam Darnold signing to the Seahawks. I think if they wanted mediocre quarterback play, they should have just stuck with Geno and been happy. I am just scratching my head when it comes to the Seahawks. I get that they want to get younger and get some draft capital. I understand maybe you want to move on from DK Metcalf. You didn't want to pay him $120 million, but and getting a second-round pick was great. That move I don't hate. But cutting Lockett wasn't a great decision. Trading away Geno for a third, I feel like is going to bite them in the ass, and paying Sam Darnold $100 million for 3 years is also not a particularly great deal, if you ask me. But Sam Darnold's 29, and I think Geno's 34, so you get 6 years younger, but you didn't get better, if you ask me. You very much just signed a bridge quarterback, and Sam Darnold had one good year, and it was throwing to Justin Jefferson. And if you ask me, I can have a decent year throwing a ball to Justin Jefferson if I were an NFL quarterback, or at least had the physical traits of it. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just hating on Sam Darnold. He was the former 3rd overall pick, so he definitely had some talent coming out of college of USC, but maybe that just wasn't that great of a quarterback draft, and teams overvalue quarterbacks and get desperate. But not too many exciting special teams moves. Brandon McManus re-signs with the Packers. Sorry, wrong P team. That's the kicker. And Zane Gonzalez re-signs with the Commanders on a 1-year deal. Pretty surprising that he only got $1.1 million. I'm pretty sure Zane Gonzalez had a pretty good year for the Commanders, and I love that his name starts and ends with the letter Z. Very rare that you get Z to Z. Lockett would give mediocre play, and cutting him opened up. Yeah, I mean, I know that the Seahawks saved a lot of money cutting Lockett, so you do bring up a good point there, and it might be I don't want to say a waste of money, but a poor use of resources, because $16 million can usually get you, two or three mediocre players, or two good players, or one very good, or one good, very good player. I don't want to say great because it depends what position you're talking about. And yeah, that's pretty much all of the free agent news so far today. Let me know what you think and how your team's doing. Some of the better values, at least of the day, I'd say, or at least guys that are still available. I like De'Ami Brown, the wide receiver from the Commanders. Has really proven to be a nice third complimentary guy. Had a pretty good season, but maybe that was mostly just Jaden Daniels kind of increasing his value. Tanner McKee should be the Eagles' third string because new quarterback fits. Yeah, I mean, I do think that DTR fits the Eagles' scheme a little bit more and is a more similar player to Jalen Hurts. The two will definitely battle it out in camp this summer, but I imagine Tanner McKee will get the nod. He played a little bit this year in the Kelly Green game, I guess against the Jacksonville Jaguars, I want to say. And, has shown some promise, had a really good preseason game, and they developed. So hopefully Tanner McKee can prove himself to be worthy of the number 2 QB. But I do like DTR a lot, was a huge fan of his at UCLA. Very good runner of the ball. Definitely needs some time to develop, and didn't seem like he was getting that in Cleveland, although Cleveland is not known for their quarterback development. Although Baker Mayfield turned out kind of all right. James Daniels is one of the best guards available right now from the Steelers. He's age 27. Definitely one of the better value guys still on the market. Rico Dowell is a running back from the Cowboys. I'm not that impressed, but has definitely made the most of his opportunities there. So be on the lookout for where he lands. Although this is a very good running back draft upcoming. Ashton Genty and Omarion Hampton are definitely the two premier guys, but then there are two good running backs out of Ohio State, Travion Henderson and Quidshon Judkins, I want to say. I might have butchered that name a little bit, but I got the general idea. And I think Iowa State has a really good running back too. So, I don't know if the running back market is going to be super hot. I think the most notable name was really Najee Harris. Baron Browning from the Cardinals is 26 and still a free agent. Very good athlete. Had a great combine a couple years ago. So we'll see if he continues playing off-ball linebacker or moves somewhere else. But it seems most likely that he would re-sign with the Cardinals. / an editor's note that I'm looking at is that he did re-sign with the Cardinals. So DJ Jones, nose tackle, is a free agent. He's getting up there in age from the Broncos, but we will see where he lands. Definitely a nice anchor for the Broncos, and that is why he re-signs with the Broncos. Jamian Stewart, linebacker for the Jets, is re-signing with the Jets, and also a good value. Still young, 25, and probably one of the most exciting parts of the Jets. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I might conclude this soon, but it's been fun. I've been going on for almost an hour, I think now. I might have exaggerated, or 54 minutes, so almost an hour. So follow, subscribe. Check out the full recording on YouTube if you missed any of this. And go Birds. Check out Fanatics if you want some cool NFL gear or any sports gear. I got my Eagles championship hat on. Still haven't taken the stickers off, although that'll eventually happen. But thank you all for tuning in. I'm definitely going to continue to try going live as much as possible, especially with the free agency and draft upcoming. I am an Eagles fan. I don't know if I made it that obvious with the sweatshirt, hat, and background, and I could show you way more. But anyway, go Birds, Super Bowl champs. Thank you for tuning in. Let me know what you guys think, and follow Shawnee Football on all social platforms. And show me my balloons. Oh, it was confetti. Whatever. Cool enough. Bye-bye. Meow. Shawnee Football.